Hello, everybody, and welcome to Best of Three, an esports podcast by Organized Gaming. I'm Mike, and with me, of course, as always, I've got Alex Kim way up there. But joining us today, a very, very special guest. We've got Laura K in the house. Laura, how are you doing?
Woo! I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Now, Laura, of course, goes by Laura K483 on Twitch, where, from what I understand, you stream a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Tell us a little bit about what your Twitch channel's about.
Variety streamer for sure. I say my Twitch channel is kind of themed after a nightclub because that's pre-pandemic was one of my favorite activities and things that I try to be, and I've been told I am. I'm very loud, so every stream comes with a headphone warning, much like a nightclub. I like bold colors, if you couldn't tell, and definitely I just try and make really like vibrant content. And ironically, pre-DMCA, music was also kind of very embedded into the vibes of the channel because nightclub theme, like the channel's theme is Club 483 after the numbers in my name. So no matter what game we're playing, it's a mix between multiplayer games and single player story-driven games, often a lot of PlayStation exclusive titles like Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, etc. But no matter what, it was always, every stream is going to be loud, every stream is going to be bright and colorful, and every stream's gonna be, you never really know what's gonna happen. Also, it's a no headphone warning, or stream permanent headphone warning, and a no filter warning because we talk about whatever crosses our mind, whatever floats your boat.
Nice, I like that. I was actually curious, awesome. How do you get that perp? For anybody watching the video version of this, Laura's got like this very purple background going on.
It's
just
awesome.
Lights
I
everywhere.
love lights.
Which color would you like?
We can my gosh.
Red, we can go blue. I can do a rainbow mode where it'll just gradually change color the whole time we're here. They're literally just they're light bulbs that change color. They look like a regular light bulb. My boyfriend bought them for me, and I have two of them in the regular light fixture in my bedroom, and they come with this little remote here that you can change the colors, and there's 3 presets. And then whenever anyone like subs or resubs or something really hype happens in the channel, we do this and it gets real nightclub and party.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
Is that a manual thing that you do every time somebody subs?
Yeah, it's a manual remote. I haven't found a way with these. They're not like, there are lights you can buy that are meant to not be integrated with like a Stream Deck or other software. This is not that. I have to manually do it with this remote, but this is a lot cheaper than those fancy ones that you can integrate from your computer.
I can
for
imagine.
Sure. And I do want to get into that a little bit later, just the cost of streaming, actually, because it's something that I've been meaning to talk to somebody about for the longest time. And I feel like
we can do it.
You might be the person to talk to.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah. So I've actually seen, you mentioned that you do a lot of PlayStation stuff. I've also seen a little bit of Super Mario Sunshine on there.
Yes, we're playing that right now. Part of me wants to be like, we don't talk about it, but that's just because I had a run-in with an eel today and he made me very upset. But I'm also a bit sleep deprived today, so part of that was probably just my lack of motor skills today. But yeah, that was one of the first games my brother and I ever owned as kids on our first console, which was a GameCube. Yeah. Because our parents, the first game console I ever played on was a Nintendo 64, but I was at a friend's house. The first one we ever owned was a GameCube, and Super Mario Sunshine was one of the first games we got. So I kind of picked up the remaster for the Switch that came out lately as like a nostalgia fest, fun thing, and time filler before Cyberpunk comes out. So
true. Yeah, because that is coming up too. Yeah. About how long have you been streaming for?
This year we had our 5-year anniversary, which it doesn't feel like it. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and we only just graduated from the streaming directly from my console on my living room floor with terrible roommates to actually having like a stream setup going on. But yeah, 5 years. And it literally started as the hit the share button on my PS4 right from my living room with the microphone that it came with, which is on a one headphone like thing that plugged into your controller, the PlayStation camera, terrible internet. Like I look at some of those original streams and like the YouTube videos I made. I'm like, why did anyone watch this? This is garbage. You can't see anything, but somehow people stuck through. And then eventually it moved on to the console streamer, but better internet. And then it became, I dabbled in PC streaming when my roommate let me use their PC. And then almost somewhere between 1 and 2 years ago, I think, my community, we put a year-long donation goal, and my community was generous enough to fund the building of my first ever gaming PC. And I wish I could show it, but I can't without risking breaking lots of things. But I have everyone's names that donated written and etched into the case of the PC, which is a cool touch. So even though most of them are still around, which is pretty cool, but even the ones that aren't, it's like I still remember your contribution to my channel at some point. So
that's amazing.
That's really cool.
The power of a community.
The power of community. Also, I just want to say sorry for that. If you guys heard my dog just bark really loud there, it scared the crap out of me, but
this is what happens when we work from home. Hey, I did want to ask the difference between when you first started on the PS4 and doing streaming from there, and then when you jumped into PC, was that what you would say your biggest, I guess, jump in quality upgrade for your stream, or was that when your PC was built?
Yeah, when the PC was built, for sure. Absolutely. Because of course there's just so many more tools you can do. Like even if you have a pretty good internet connection, the cameras that go with consoles are getting pretty good, and it is so easy to just hit that share button and go live, and you can get a decent headset mic that was better than the one I was using. But just things like being able to have integrated alerts, overlays, using the Stream Deck for like sound effects and things like that. There's just so much more customization you can have when you make the jump to PC. If you're a console streamer. But so that's probably overall, because with the PC also came the budget that we'd set that my community helped me hit via donation goals also included like a decent microphone and like a decent mouse. My keyboard was pretty janky for a long time. I just got my first mechanical keyboard literally weeks ago. But
congratulations.
And my webcam was just a standard Logitech for a while. Right now, I'm currently using a Razer Kiyo webcam for the built-in ring light because I had minimal lighting solutions. But honestly, when I had to choose, like, well, do you put limited funds to the mic or the webcam? Almost everyone will agree, always pick the mic first, because like crappy visual quality you can put up with because the streamer's personality or gameplay can usually come through. But if they sound awful, it's like nails on a chalkboard. You don't want to listen to it for a long time. So
yeah. I agree. There's definitely an order of importance when it comes to streaming hardware, and everything kind of hits a financial stopgap, right? Like you go into microphones, and it's like you can get a pretty decent microphone for less than $100, but if you want to start getting really into it, then you go for things like what you're running looks like an AT2020.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so for a good like between $100 to $200, and then from there you can, the sky's the limit.
Most definitely.
Mike,
how much did you spend on your mic?
Don't ask.
The other thing I really like about, though, even though it took me, because there was like over 3 years of console streaming before making this jump, because for a long time, like after about a year into streaming, I was thinking about it, but I was still moving around a lot. Like I've also moved continents in the time I've been streaming. I've lived in 5 different houses in the time I've been streaming. So that was also a barrier to creating a setup. But the main thing was I don't want to put up this goal, because I knew I didn't have the money all at once, because I work in theater, to shell out for a stream setup. But I didn't want to put, one of my pet peeves personally is streamers that still have growing communities and they have these large donation goals. Like you're putting a big responsibility or a lot of pressure on your audience that you don't necessarily have this giant size yet. And some people, it's usually most big like donation goals are usually only met by a few very generous people. You don't need a big community, but I still feel like it's a lot. And I wanted to wait till A, I knew I'd be doing this for a while. B, I was pretty established, and it just didn't feel like, hi, I barely know you. You barely know me, but give me your money so I can get cool stuff. So I definitely think one of the other rookie mistakes, or at least for me, it's a turnoff if I go to a new person's stream and it's kind of clear, or at least they talk about how they're still kind of early in their journey. They're new to the game. Their numbers are still on the smaller end. Not there's anything wrong with that, but they have like massive donation goals up there. Also, people spending the other way, they have their own money to spend. There's people breaking the bank and buying every new PC part, every new peripheral, but they don't have, they haven't built their community yet. It's like, save your money, honestly. Like you can, with mid-tier gear, even like, again, I don't know why anyone watched me that first year, but people did. Like you can still stream through a lower like technical setup and still build a community before you either ask for that money or put that money in yourself. Just one of my pet peeves when getting to know other streamers.
For sure. Yeah. And to kind of jump onto that point as well, there's so many things that you as a streamer, and I guess now this is basically an advice podcast for aspiring streamers. I like that. I'm here for it. When you're starting out with a stream and you have your list of things that you want, keep that. That's fine. Aspire to it. Once you find that you're actually, making your money, and then go and get that. Go and have your upgrades. There are so many things that you can do with a low budget that will make your stream look super high quality. Now, all that cameras and mics are doing is making the raw image look better, sound better. What you can do, overlays. That's just right off the top of my head, I think overlays. That's something that anybody can make very, very low cost. Either Photoshop or other kinds of Photoshop-like products can make you a screen that looks good. And I'm not talking about just single color graphic design is my passion. Put a JPEG on that or put a little bit of effort into that.
Especially because now I think there was a time, like I remember when I first started a few years ago on Twitch, the first streamers I ever started really watching and the first two streamers I ever subscribed to and like paid money to support, they had these very busy, very interactive, lots going on overlays, which at the time I was just like, wow, because I'm a console streamer, I can't do any of that. Look at all this cool stuff. But now the general trend and what viewers seem like more, it's getting like more and more streamlined and more clean and minimal, but still distinct, still unique. So it's really easy now to make something that is unique on whatever your personal brand is, but not super crazy complicated, because no one wants now all these big flashy like animated moving parts that take up a third of your screen and a third of the gameplay real estate and stuff. So it's definitely, I think now's a great time that whether you want to pay a designer to make it for you or just make it yourself, because it's the minimal is more the aesthetic right now. It's so easy to learn to do yourself and save yourself some money that way as well than having to pay a very fancy graphic designer to make you something.
100%.
Well, what I like that I heard as well is that you have to stand out, right? So even thinking about your brand that doesn't cost money. What is my brand? What is my community about? Like, figure that stuff out.
Content is key.
Well, because so many people, I think they make the mistake of, it's like, well, who are you streaming for? And it's like, I'm streaming for everyone. Well, that's great. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely streams that achieve that. The vibe is anyone, and anyone can tune in and watch this and find something. But the easiest way, like this isn't even just streaming specific. In any business, they ask you, what's your market? Like, what's your demographic? And knowing what that is, even if you don't necessarily do much tangible or many concrete things around that, but even just knowing that would tailor kind of how you communicate, what things you talk about while you're playing the game, what games you play. So that's a very good thing. I think a lot of people don't spend much time thinking about is who am I streaming for rather than just why are you streaming? So those are two different questions.
Yeah,
man, gold nuggets dropping all over the place.
Now,
not that I'm in any way like an expert. Like I'm still very much the like small to medium tier that I'm doing this for years, because I've always streamed just for fun and for love of it. I've never been like, I want this to be like the thing that supports me in my daily life and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, would be great, not complaining, but I never wanted to put that pressure on myself because I feel like that would bleed through the content. I just wanted to enjoy it and keep having fun. But for anyone that does want to make that leap, if you want to be very serious about it, then those are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself.
Was there a specific instance that kind of brought you, I guess, closer to where you are today, or was this kind of a gradual grind?
Very, very gradual. I think the biggest, the one biggest jump, it's been a pretty steady, just like if it was a line graph, a pretty steady diagonal line up, other than one big hiccup, probably the 6 months to a year mark, I think, is we all hear about networking all the time and like joining stream teams or communities or whatever. But before I knew about any of that, they were just, because those two streamers, the first streamers I ever subscribed to, I just genuinely love their content. I was in their streams regularly. I never talked about or self-promoted because don't do that. But I just really got to know everyone in those two communities. And at some point, both those streamers naturally, I don't even remember how it came up or if someone brought it to their attention, but they found out that I also streamed, and they organically, because we had a genuine like relationship, because I've been watching them for literally a year and like a regular in their chat, started shouting me out. And I then specifically tailored my stream schedule. So I was streaming on the days where they weren't, because I knew we're going to have a lot of viewer overlap. And those are the people that I already know a bit. And I want to try and maximize the potential to get those people to watch me as well.
Plus, you're already watching them.
Yeah. And ironically now that schedule, it's not the greatest schedule 5 years down the road with my current, or at least for the last few years with the job that I had. But this year, a lot of things have changed. Now it's like that schedule is becoming much more viable now, but it's still a schedule I've had for about 3.5 years. And it was completely tailored around 2 other streamers and their communities, but it worked.
Wow. And so about how many hours a week does that put you at right now? I know you do
it's
like
a
5
for
hours
sure
multiple days.
Yeah, it's for sure 15 hours a week, because I try and do 3 5-hour blocks, like 1 5-hour block, 3 different days a week. And that's usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday's the multiplayer days, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays are whatever single player game I'm typically playing, unless there's like an in-game event for a multiplayer game or something I'm grinding at, like a battle pass or something.
Right.
And then I try and do 1 stream if I have lots of time, sometimes 2 on the weekends. But now that's more limited between my current job. And before, there was a stream every Sunday on my channel. I'm part of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that is streamed every week on Twitch. And it used to be streamed on my channel, but it has since moved to a different channel. So that also limits the time. So there's always 3 streams a week. I try and go for 4. So anywhere from 15 to like 20, 25 hours a week, but probably 25 is the max a week. So it's very much a part-time, not my full-time thing. Because I have multiple other jobs.
Right.
Wow. That's 25 hours, like max 25 hours is not a small amount of time. So
not at all.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Do you find that there's ever any kind of burnout through that, or how do you manage?
No, and actually, at risk of maybe pissing off a bunch of people, hot take here. I see so many people all the time talking about stream burnout, given I don't stream full time. So I've never come close to like the streaming, say 6 days a week and experiencing a level of burnout. But at the same time, I have never hit a point where I didn't want to stream. And when I've had to take breaks for work, for travel, for family, I get antsy. I genuinely miss it. I start to go a little crazy if I haven't been able to stream in a while. Every time I see people, and I see a lot of even part-time streamers complaining about burnout, and I never want to sound like the Debbie Downer or being rude, but I'm like, okay, think about it, if you really have to like force yourself to stream this much, or then why are you doing it? Maybe should you be doing it? Is it really for you? Because I think a lot of people think because they like video games and have an internet connection, or could see like, oh, I'll try it. The chance, like sometimes some people it's not for you. Just enjoy your games. Just enjoy being a viewer. Join being a community on Twitch, but you don't have to be a content creator. Yeah. And if you keep repeat, like there's the occasional burnout. Then there's if you every couple months are finding that you have to push yourself, or you want to take another break, or you're very easily disheartened by like a dip in your numbers or something. I'm sorry, but this might not be for you. You just might have to be realistic with yourself and your expectations.
Right. No, and I think that's a very good point. It's it's about loving what you do. You know, you go at something enough, obviously you're going to find that there is some burnout to it. And when there is burnout, then that's the point at which you should probably go and find something else to do, or change the way that you're doing it. You know, find a way to kind of breathe new life into what you're doing. I really appreciate that point. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, there has been a lot of talk recently about Twitch DMCA. We're going to get into that a little bit, as well as a couple of other topics, just a little bit when we come back to Best of 3. We'll see you then. And we're back with some more Best of 3 with Laura K. Let's talk the DMCA of Twitch. otherwise known as Alex. What have you been calling it recently?
The DMCApocalypse. That's what I've dubbed it.
DMCApocalypse.
I mean, it feels like it to a lot of people because it's not a small problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And I was diving into it, and I actually saw like there was a wave that happened in June, and then one that happened more recently in October. And I was looking into it, and actually they were connected a little bit. So let's get into that. Yeah. So I think in June, streamers they started seeing copyright takedown notices from RIAA. So these guys are the recording industry. They represent a lot of people who make music. And they started hitting all of these streamers with DMCA, which actually means their takedown notices. They're digital rights, and you cannot use these digital rights without our express permission or consent, right?
Because what DMCA stands for, if anyone knows, Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's the name of an actual piece of legislation that was passed, and it's just that acronym has just become like a verb now, because these strikes are related to that piece of legislation.
Yeah, and most of the strikes that were happening there were for like recorded clips, like old clips, maybe even clips that happened like years and years ago. So it was pretty crazy that they were diving that deep. Now with Twitch's terms of service, it says in there that if you get 3 strikes, you actually get permabanned from Twitch. So that's friggin' huge. And it's scary to get 1 strike, let alone, multiple or whatever it may have been, right? So that's pretty crazy. Now the DMCA, so this piece of legislation, like Laura mentioned, allows for platforms like Twitch and, other streaming platforms to actually, there's a clause in there like known as the safe harbor. So basically these platforms can't be sued as long as they take prompt action. So I guess that's what they decided to do. They received a massive influx of these takedown notices in June, and then they just started, deleting people's old clips and sending strikes to people.
Yeah, because this isn't a new problem. Like Twitch acknowledged themselves for years. They would get about 50 of these claims a year, like 50 spread throughout an entire year. So that's that many.
Low.
But now they're getting thousands a week as of 2020. So that's why it's ramped up, and why all of a sudden they're being forced to do something about it, and why streamers are upset, because it seems like it's come out of nowhere, but this isn't a new problem. And there's been so many warning signs and like time for this to have been addressed, and it hasn't.
Yeah, well, and it's definitely been around for a while. This has been a problem. I think anybody who had been a streamer and had done things like play Spotify playlists on their stream or played old clips or reshared old clips, there must have been some part in the back of their head that was like, this is okay, right? Like, I'm not sure if this is fully okay. And now that they're cracking down on it, it's like, okay, well, now it's not okay.
Yeah, I think there is an incredibly justified reason for like the general outrage we're seeing among streamers. But I'm also, again, one of the people who I have gotten into many an argument with a lot of my streamer friends, because I also see a little bit the side of Twitch, because like I said, this isn't new. They've been getting these notices for years. It's just ramped up. I swear to God that I was tweeting years ago and having arguments with friends being like, oh, it's fine. I'm a small channel. No one's going to come at me for playing Spotify. I'm like, okay, but why not just get ahead of it now and just stop using that content and stop doing streams with song requests? Like, I have been actively avoiding it other than my alerts, which are the one thing I had to change this year as it got serious. But like, I think I've done like 2 song request streams in the 5 years I've been on Twitch, and I quickly turned that off. Like the fact that people are saying this came out of nowhere, I'm like, it didn't. And that's really both a problem for you as streamers, because Twitch, it didn't come out of nowhere. Twitch has known. Twitch should have done something about it. But as streamers, we also should have been trying to protect ourselves a lot sooner than most people have.
Definitely.
So there's like some accountability I think needs to be taken on both sides. But the lion's share to an organization like Twitch, because they have the time and resources to try and deal with it. The other main problem is the DMCA was written, at least 5 years ago, I think. And this is an industry that changes like every year. There's so much evolution in the online
Very
content
fast.
creation, not just on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook gaming, on like whatever platform that exists. It's such a rapidly evolving industry. And the money within this industry also rapidly evolves every year. So this is the kind of legislation, and it's made by people who know nothing about Twitch or content creation.
That's the worst part.
Yeah. So I literally think for things like this sphere, I don't understand why it hasn't become an obvious priority. We need to update rules about this like every 2 years. This needs to be re-examined. We can't make this one stale piece of legislation by rich music CEOs that see it as a way to make a quick buck because it's more obscure. Now that this gets more and more mainstream, and literally what at GlitchCon, they just said there was like 15 million new streamers on Twitch just in 2020 alone or something like that. Like, don't come at me, that number's exactly wrong, but it's in the millions. It's huge.
As you bring up GlitchCon, I was
Oh God.
I was reading about that too. Like
coming.
T-Pain introduced some DJs, right? And there's one DJ came out and he started spinning licensed music, and Twitch actually had to cut him so that they don't get a takedown for their own stream.
While simultaneously saying it's been a great year for music on Twitch in 2020. I literally like the whole, I head desk there is a joke. I actually like forehead to desk, just like moment there. I was like, did this just happen? You opened GlitchCon keynote with an apology about the music situation, and your only answer is a town hall in December. But then like 20 minutes later said it's been a great year for music. I was like, are we for real? Are we in the
Is this
Twilight
real
Zone?
life?
Probably should have hot redacted that.
Oh my gosh, it was
Take that out of the
insane.
script real quick.
But the thing that also I think there's a bigger underlying issue with this. I think a lot of people don't know, and I can't take credit. I wouldn't even have known if it wasn't for there was a streamer who I saw a tweet from her, and I think I saw it through a creator by the name of Zach Busse, who's like a internet news creator. That's his whole thing. He's great, by the way. And her tweet was saying, there's a bigger problem with this. Look at most of the clips being striked, because Twitch's advice to us is delete your clips, delete your VODs, delete your legacy, delete the content you spent years making, delete memories, and going forward, just be better. That's their advice right now. A lot of these things are coming from clips that have been deleted. Streamers have gone through and deleted their archives and VODs, and then are getting notifications and strikes on clips they've removed because all they've been removed from is visibility publicly on your page. On the Twitch servers, every content that's been created still exists. So, okay, this sucks for DMCA music because it means we can't protect ourselves. But bigger problem, how many times have streamers had to delete a clip because something happened? They accidentally doxed themselves. They accidentally had screen share on and their address was exposed for a second.
Right.
Or maybe they're a parent and they don't want their kids on screen, and like their kid walks in the room and they have to quickly get them out, delete that VOD for later. Like there's lots of safety issues where the only thing we can do is delete a clip because we don't want that being used against us. But now if people now know this stuff isn't deleted. It exists somewhere. It exists in servers somewhere. And if you had enough tech knowledge, you could get to it. So I think Twitch is sleeping on the bigger problem here, which is the safety of your streamers. Because if we can't delete our content for real, if we can't actually control, if we want to remove something, it getting removed, that's a huge problem.
That is a huge problem. But as we know, data is what drives a lot of these large platforms now. And obviously they're looking at it like, hey, why would we delete this data when we could keep it and use it for something, right? So,
I mean, it also does
ridiculous.
Skew the full picture as well. If you do delete like 15 minutes of, say, a stream, and that data is gone and that video is gone, then now there's inconsistencies with the data of how long somebody has been streaming, because then that needs to be reduced by 15 minutes. But you can't, even if you keep the full duration that they were on there, there's nothing to prove that. So now, if people come looking for it, if for whatever reason, people are trying to fact check Twitch and their tech, then it's inconsistent. Now, and that could actually, and here I am playing the engineer. What that could have been is as easy as saying like X amount of time of deleted content in their backend. They can keep that metric. There are ways around it for sure, but the way that it's being explained to me right now fully understand it's a large issue in that you need to actually be transparent. It's a transparency issue for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because at first it was just one or two people seeing on like the quote streamer Twitter being like, I just got like a strike on content that I know I deleted. And at first it was like, it seemed like a fluke because only a few people, but then there's now been enough reported incidents of it happening that we can confirm that it is possible to be getting these strikes on content you deleted. So not only is it a safety concern, it's also kind of like, okay, well, Twitch, have you just given us the middle finger? Because the only thing you told us to do doesn't actually do anything. Because like, so did I even have to delete my clips or VODs then? Because if I'm at risk anyway, well, now I've just removed that content for public audience for no reason. And like my big thing is that I never used song requests or anything for years. The thing I had to change on my channel was because again, the gimmick or the theme of my channel is like inspired after a nightclub, right? Yeah. And my favorite band / like recording artist of all time, I used snippets of music that they've made for years for all my alerts. And it got to a point where it was more than just this is music I like the alerts, for lack of a better word, not to like sound like I'm trying to big myself up here, but the alerts became a very like well-known and looked forward to moment in my stream. Because like, for example, the song for a subscriber was from a clip called Girl Got a Gun, and the band is Tokyo Hotel, a band from Germany. And so literally the lyrics are very repetitive, that part, but it's just something along the lines like, girl got a gun, bang, bang. And I'd had like little fake guns and had a little semi-choreographed little dance break every time someone would do it. And one of the top clips one year was literally I was doing the dance and I just got so keen. I just like whipped a gun across the room and it went flying and I was laughing so hard and all of chat was like losing their mind. And even the day I changed them, because I was like, well, you know what? I changed it before June even. I changed them sometime earlier this year. And I paid someone, one of my friends who does music engineering offered to, for free. He made new custom alerts for me. There's no risk of DMCA. Great. There's still that nightclub, like EDM kind of vibe, but it's still even like my chat for the next few weeks was like, I miss the old alerts, like Rip Girl Got a Gun and things like that. Like it's such a little thing, but even things like that, it's like that was an identifier for my stream. We talk about branding yourself and standing out. I even go into my friends' chats and they joke, like they would sing the Girl Got a Gun clip if they saw my name in the chat. Like it was something that was looked forward to and that was unique and I had to get rid of it. And like the new alerts are great. Shout out to the guy who did them for me, but like it's sad.
All the more reason to get on it early, right? Why wait until people know you for that and then have to change it? That sounds like a worse problem. So
this is also part of the growing pains of the streaming or video industry. Yeah. YouTube went through a very, very similar thing years back. Very, very lax initially on their copyrighted music. Very, very lax on their clip shows. They just existed. That was fine. People were still. This was also back in a time where there wasn't quite as much monetization as there is now, but once money started being changed hands a little bit more often, that's when the DMCA really started to crack down. Same kind of thing that's happening on Twitch at the year that you're seeing however many million more streamers doing however many million more hours and accruing however many million more subscribers or bits. You're also seeing the industries coming in and being like, well, hey, if you're making this much money off of this, then let's make sure that stays in its correct lane. Now, YouTube specifically is incredibly strict on its copyrighted music, to the point where if anything matches its content ID, then it will immediately demonetize. You will likely receive a video strike, where after a certain amount, you will just not be able to perform on the platform anymore. Twitch, now that it's exactly now that Twitch is developed, it's just kind of following suit.
It's gotta. So something that I want to get into, and like again, like most of these DMCA notices are for clips. And I want to know, like, what do clips mean to you? Why are they important? And like, does Twitch even need clips?
Honestly, I think that's part of why people are so upset, because I think when Twitch added clips, it is one of in my time on the platform, the single greatest tools they have given to streamers. Because think about what goes viral, what gets attention. It's these short, easily consumable, because people's attention span while scrolling through something like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is super, super low, right? It's now you need to make an impression in a few seconds. And clips are an easy way, for people to give you those viral moments for free. Your viewers, not even having to ask them to, are giving you like, here's easily shareable bite-sized content for you to use on other platforms. Because the thing about Twitch is, unlike other platforms which can work for you while you're offline, Twitch does not. Twitch, you pretty much are only going to be growing or seeing any valuable metric when you are live directly. But also, it's a good way for you to know, if I see what's getting clipped the most, that's the content my community likes the most. Because the things that get more clips, clearly they're clipping it because it's engaging, it's funny, it's exciting, it's emotional, whatever reason they're clipping it. And you kind of gives you a metric of, what do I need to make more of? Or even like, for me, example, I notice certain games get clipped way more than others. Like, I think I was just sending you clips for that project Alex, you're working on before, and I realized almost all of these clips are from Apex Legends.
I wonder why.
Variety. So it's also a useful tool, just as kind of like a research metric for streamers. But the biggest tool is it gives you easily shareable highlight reels that you can put kind of to other platforms like Twitter and Instagram. Or my other favorite things I love to do, like top 10 clips of the month or of the year videos for my YouTube channel based on viewer count that people have watched it and stuff. And also just memories, because you can be like telling a story to your chat, like, oh my God, you guys remember when this happened in this game? You can be like, wait a minute, I can pull
go
it up
back.
and you can go watch it. Like the two, I think, the most watched clip on my channel, and one I will never live down, I was playing Detroit Become Human. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, it's one of those like butterfly effect. There's not much gameplay. It's mostly just you make choices, and those choices take the story in very different directions. And it's about like AI and robots versus humans, and what does it mean to be human, and what is humanity, what is sentience. Like, it gets very intense and very philosophical. And there's like one of those AI robot characters who is like the girl in the menu, that whenever you log in and log out, she's there. And at the end of the game, she basically, big spoilers, if you haven't played Detroit Become Human, mute for 30 seconds. She, at the end of the game, basically is like, oh, I get it now. I'm like a person with rights, and like I have a soul and I'm sentient, so I deserve, can you let me go from this menu so I can go live my life, basically? Ooh. And I'm literally saying out loud, who would say the verbatim, real quote here, who says no to that? What sort of monster would say no? And as I say that, I had a hand spasm, so I selected no, and then pressed A, thinking I was, and I was like, oh, and I like dropped the controller, and I was like, no, and then she's like, okay, I'll wipe my memory and go back to being your slave, thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, and I would go back to like the full camera mode, just like, what have I done? And Chad is losing it. So like, that's the most watched clip on my channel, because who doesn't love to watch streamers mess up, right?
That's
so
hilarious.
Now I can tell that story, and if someone goes, really? I can be like, yeah, here, and send it to them. Yes. And I can relive that moment without having to search for like VODs years ago, or like save it to my computer, because it's just there. I go clips, sort by viewed, and it will always be the top viewed, apparently.
And that's probably your best form of marketing that you can possibly.
That too.
Definitely.
Because then even like, for example, when they introduced channel trailers this year, Twitch, I think what most people did, even if you don't have very fancy video editing skills, just go record a quick voiceover of you being like, hi, I'm so-and-so. This is my channel. We like these kind of games, or we do this. Here's the kind of things you can expect. And then go pick your top 3 clips and just put them boom, boom, boom. Channel trailer.
And even the project that we were working on, imagine if you had to have deleted all that. This is part of your career, and you're going to need these as part of your resume.
Some clips. I had to, like that clip I mentioned with the sub dance and the girl got a gun, and I like whipped the gun across the room, and we all had a good laugh. Had to delete that because it was all music. And thankfully, most of mine were safe, because of years before the DMCApocalypse, I saw this coming and did my best to limit that, but I still had to delete a few. And like but thing is, not just clips. Like there were some clips I had to delete that were just in game that I wasn't sure. Like I love the Kingdom Hearts franchise, for example, and of course Disney does not care about the little guy. Disney will come for your money in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
And there's lots of Disney music in Kingdom Hearts. And there was one of the top clips was I used to have the world's most tolerant, attention-seeking cat, and my chat loved her more than me. She would let me do anything to her. She'd always try and be up in my face while I was streaming. So there's a part where they're playing the infamous Tale as Old as Time from Beauty and the Beast, and Belle and the Beast are waltzing. So I picked up the cat, and I'm waltzing with my cat in the background. And then I was like, dip the cat, and things like that. And it was... But I was like, I have to delete this because this is a very well-known Disney song, and who knows if this could be eligible to be struck. I don't know. Like, and that's in game. That's not like I didn't choose it, but that's in the video game. Yeah. And even like I got really excited lately because Cyberpunk, we all know, hugely anticipated game, and they put out we will have a streamer mode in game where we will put in generic music instead of copyrighted music so you can safely stream it. And I was excited. I was like, yes, thank you. I've been waiting for this game for over a year, and to not be able to stream it, I would cry. And immediately everyone in my Discord's like, well, it's bullshit that they even have to have that. And I'm like, yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. It sucks. I don't get the authentic experience of the original curated soundtrack meant for this game.
Right.
But let me at least be a little happy I can at least still stream it, share it with you guys. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
It sucks though.
Oh man,
I don't know. Maybe it's a thing of me getting older, but tell
us your stance. Tell us how you feel. Tell us how you feel, Mike.
I'm gonna get attacked for this.
Yeah.
So I am on the side of the people who are represented by the DMCA. I think that they get a little they go a little too far at times. But I do respect the fact that if you go and create something, that it should be protected as your property. Because if you don't want that out there, then it shouldn't be out there. You know what I mean?
100%. But I think where the thing lies is half the time, it's like if you're making art, because in this case, it's about music. Music is art. Generally, the point is you want that art to be seen, you want that art to be experienced, you want that art to be recognized. And I guess whether it's like if we're gonna lose income because people are pirating this thing we made, sure, that's not fair. Like I'm very against like pirating music, stealing people's like work, likeness, or anything. Like obviously no. But do you really think like the idea of I'm gonna go to Twitch to listen to music instead of like a legitimate paid service listen to this music? People who had song requests on. I'm going to go have to hunt through live streams and hope I tune into this live broadcaster's content at the right moment just to hear this one song I wanted. A, is already a bit ludicrous to me. B, the whole transformative use is like the grounds on YouTube where you can use video, music, things it's transformative in nature. Is streaming in general not transformative? Because I'm not just broadcasting the gameplay. There's sound effects, there's real-time interaction, there's my webcam and likeness there's commentary on it. And you're transforming the content by nature of using it and adding all these layers to it. Therefore, it's not the raw media that they're trying to protect. And if anything, you're gaining viewership to the thing. Like I know a lot of people, for example, I used music from that one band that then said they went out and bought the band's album in my stream because they heard those snippets on the alerts. They couldn't get the song out of their head and they really liked it. They listened to more. They loved it. Like I think there's so much to be gained from allowing music to be embedded in this kind of content, and no one is outright profiting. It's like no one's going to sub to a streamer just because they played this one song in the background. Right. No one's going to be donating or tipping or using bits on a streamer's channel because, oh, you played that one song I liked that one time. At least not enough that it's not losing money from the people who made the original piece of work. And that's the part that I guess baffles my mind, is that there's so much gain to be had from getting eyes on this work, this art you created, and then it's still being done in a transformative way. And they're not trying to take credit for it. Like, I'm not saying by playing Cyberpunk, I made all the music in this game. I'm in no way pretending that, and no one is. Everyone knows the source material, where it's coming from. Even song requests, usually you had the artist and the track title somewhere on your screen. Right. So like, I still don't think song request was ever a good idea in the back of a stream, because that's not really transformative at all. That's bare minimum. But there's still no one ever still was not crediting the original artist most of the time.
Well, so what I think
I don't understand
really sucks about this is most artists don't own the rights to their music, and they don't get to decide. If I am sorry, what was the band called?
The one that I use,
yes.
They're called Tokyo Hotel.
Tokyo Hotel. So if I'm Tokyo Hotel and I don't own my music, and I love that my fans get to enjoy it on stream, and you have alerts that use my music, I don't even get to decide that. Whoever the executives that own the music do. But I think really the money play for these executives is somebody's got to pay for it. And it's not the streamers, and it's going to be Twitch. So we're going to pressure Twitch until they want to pay for this music in a lump sum. And that's how they want to get paid. The other thing I don't understand is Amazon has all their like Prime Gaming, Prime Video, Prime whatever. They have Prime Music. Why then not just allow, if you have Amazon Prime, it allows you access, like they've kind of tried to by making Twitch soundtrack now, and the whole Monster Cat debacle, they kind of tried the whole Monster Cat affiliate situation. Like there's clearly the beginnings of, I think, the system that we all want in place, but every streamer I've talked to that is a serious streamer, it's like, I would happily pay a monthly fee within reason. Obviously, pay like $100 a month. Okay, well, screw you. But I'll pay anywhere from between $0 and even up to $50 a month to be able to use music on stream, and then pay a monthly license, and then you're paying money to use it. But the problem is, I guess, it's figuring out what that amount should be, and then how that money then gets back to the various labels and artists in question is the struggle. Right. But I think that's the solution that needs to happen, and that's what I think hopefully people are going to work towards, and hopefully Twitch gets on that. But I swear to God, there has to be some easy way with Prime Music to integrate it now that they're owned by Amazon.
I'm sure there's got to be some kind of way to cross the wires there. Now, this was an interesting conversation through that, and I want to kind of explain how my thought process has changed because of that. The way that I initially framed this was that there's a lack of control, which is true. There is a lack of control when you give music rights to whoever wants to share them. The way that my thought process has changed is, I think it's on the
Ooh.
Because Alex, you brought up the point that some of these artists, they don't own their music that is being shared.
Yeah,
this is true. Things like Spotify or any kind of Apple Music or Amazon Prime Music or whatever. Not all people are independent. Some are owned by publishers. But I remain on the point that they want to, these publishers and even the independent people, they want to control the places where their music is provided. Now, that said, there are lots of real life places that stores or whatnot that would play that music, and I'm not sure how the legality actually works in that. So
the radio.
Yeah, exactly. The radio. So there you go. The places that play it off of Spotify and all those places that are being dinged from DMCA online, that's where it kind of gets a little muddy for me. But online, to say, okay, I will put my stuff on Spotify. Anybody who listens will, Spotify will pay me a royalty. That's fine. To then go on Twitch and have people playing Spotify on there, they're not collecting anything from all the people who are listening, which is unfortunate, and the part that they don't like. However, what would be good is as you're saying, the Amazon Prime making that connection, saying, okay, we are going to pay a royalty for anybody who uses this song and anybody who listens to the song based on their viewership. But that requires some infrastructure that I don't know is there.
Yeah,
that would be crazy. If they knew that you listened to this song because you had the stream open or whatnot, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I will say that I think that I would argue that people do go to certain streamers so that they can listen to the music that they listen to, or at least they used to. They would go over to certain people because they played that heavy metal music that they really like. They would go to other streamers because they play, Tokyo Hotel every time that somebody gets a sub, and it sparks a little bit of joy.
Well, and even like Laura was saying, song requests, right?
Right.
So if you can do song requests, then like I want to listen to this or watch the streamer, and then I want to get my song request in, and whatever it may be. So,
but then to me that still falls under the nature of, but you're not listening to just that song. You're listening to that mixed with the streamer's commentary and gameplay audio. Like anyone who wants to authentically listen to the music is going to go to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon. What they're paying for is that's a layer in an overall content experience that they're going there for.
And what the publishers and songwriters will say to that is, do I want my song represented by anybody?
That is true. Because the other bigger problem that I would say, like to me, the only, I'm not someone who works in the music industry, but my only issue, because I'd be like, well, hey, if they're getting people to listen to my music and it will later translate to views off their stream on a platform like Spotify, great. What I wouldn't like is say, like, for example, you have someone who has very, like the antithesis of your political views, or someone who says something horribly prejudiced or something that is like a homophobic or something, and they're using your music while spewing like hatred on their channel.
Right.
Okay, I do not want my music associated with that. So that is where I think I would 100% see the side of the other side of the DMCA, not the streamer side, basically. But the problem is, I think that's not the majority of uses of these music.
Right.
The other problem, I think it's just, again, it's not, and most people agree, it's like we get the validity of this concern. We get why it should have been a problem. It's the fact that Twitch decided to not like until it became this level of problem, not to communicate with streamers and tell you, hey, baby, you shouldn't be doing that, until it became now delete your content. Not that's ever deleted. And now we try and react. Because the big problem, and this goes beyond DMCA, the way Twitch handles any crisis, and I'd say that my biggest criticism of Twitch is 100% reactionary to problems. Twitch never tries to get ahead of problems. Even problems like this, which they could have foreseen for years because they've been getting claims. They acknowledge they have been getting claims for years, or just looking at YouTube. YouTube has had this problem before Twitch ever existed.
For sure.
It's not, you didn't need to be a psychic with a crystal ball to see it coming. But they just wait till it becomes a problem to their viewers and to their users that they then deal with it. Same as like the problem with like hatred on the platform, or like, oh, we're only gonna work to like ban racist usernames, or to spotlight like minority creators when we get publicly like belittled for it. Everything they do is reactionary. They're very, very rarely try and fix problems before they happen, and they're very rarely looking out for their creators ahead of like these problems. And I think that would be, if somehow that attitude could shift in Twitch, I don't know how. That's a huge undertaking. But if that ever happened, it would be a game changer, and Twitch would be unstoppable as a platform for sure.
I'd love to slide in here because like Twitch has done made a lot of questionable decisions. They've banned streamers like Dr. Disrespect, Leafy, Alicia.
I'm not gonna lie, I still occasionally just lose sleep at night being like, but why though?
Exactly.
I never watched Dr. Disrespect. I'm not a fan of his. I hated his the persona. I know it's not him. I realize it is a character he plays, but I can't stand it. Those like abrasive for the sake of abrasive and like rude and just like I can't stand those kinds of people, even when it's fake. So I just never into his content. But for someone of his size, for that to happen, and we still know nothing, it's like one of the greatest mysteries of our age. And I will forever wonder until we get answers.
Hopefully we find out sometimes, anytime, really. I just want to know what happened. But yeah, that like they were criticized for maybe banning some people that the community thought that they didn't deserve bans, right? And then on the other hand, you have someone like Onisian. I'm not sure how to Onisian. Yeah, and like he was formerly accused of child grooming, and like that guy made partner, and it's like, these are very questionable decisions that the community is like, what's happening here? I just want to know like what, you went into it a little bit, but like, how do you feel about Twitch as a platform? Do you enjoy being on it? Is it a platform that you can like stand behind? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love talking about this question because I see so many people who have gained so much from Twitch and it's such a big part of their life, but are so quick to shit all over it, for lack of a better word. And I think the thing about being a streamer on a platform like Twitch. We need to hold them. There's a difference between holding Twitch accountable and just being a negative asshole and just wanting to like bite the hand that feeds you kind of thing, right? Because I've been on Twitch for 5 years. I have made some of my closest friends complete accident through Twitch. And even though Asteris's next comment, Twitch is not a dating service, do not treat it as such. But I met my boyfriend through Twitch, exception, not the rule. And I'm a founder of a community called Level Select that has some of my closest like friends, and we had our first Level Select IRL meetup last year pre-COVID, where a bunch of us, I think about 15 of us, gathered in Cardiff in Wales and met in person after being a community for years. And we hung out for a week, and it was such a blast. It was one of like my absolute highlights of my life and one of my favorite experiences. And even just like, I have a gaming PC thanks to my community on Twitch, and it's now like my child and my prized possession. Like people gain so much from Twitch. And as much as so many people love to hate and criticize it, if Twitch disappeared tomorrow, they would be heartbroken. They would be crying, and I would be heartbroken if Twitch were to disappear tomorrow. I think what so many of us have gained from the platform greatly outweighs the negative, but that doesn't mean just because I can be grateful to the platform, appreciate it, and want to use it on a regular basis, doesn't mean I can't hold it accountable. Yeah. Because that's what we need to do for them to grow, for them to do better, and to protect the users on the platform.
Can't be blind to its faults. Yep.
Yeah, so I think people need to be critical of a platform, but not hate on it if you're going to use it. Because also it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, okay, well, you're going to sit here and bitch all day about how terrible this thing is. Well, no one's making you stream on Twitch. Go ahead, go use YouTube, go use Facebook Gaming, go do something else. If you're going to be here, you're here for a reason. And it's because of the community. It's because their user interface. These are my reasons, at least. It's the community is here. Their user interface and chat experience is so much better than anything I've ever used. Like when Overwatch League went from Twitch to YouTube, lost my mind. That's the main esport I follow. That's what I'm super into. And I still watch it because I'm real into Overwatch League. But I hate it. I hate watching it on YouTube.
It's
so
not
much.
the same. It's definitely not the same.
Yeah. So I absolutely am super happy to have found Twitch and for all it has given me. But I definitely think people, by still being wary and critical and holding Twitch accountable, is the way that we can help the platform be better.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of being better, if Twitch could do one thing infinitely better, what would that one thing be? Apart from the things
that we've been talking about, I assume?
No, so I want to know like what, like if
DMCA.
you could like really like, you know, boil it down to like one thing. Is it just they're not being transparent enough? Is it that they just?
It's actually, I will link it to one tweet, the infamous tweet. I want to say a year ago, could have been more. That tweet, I don't even remember what it was responding to, but they made a tweet that literally used the words "hold us accountable." And basically, their issue is communication and transparency. People get banned and don't know why. People get strikes and don't know why. We see things happening on the platform, like especially in realms like the body painting and like IRL and all these other categories that aren't just easy to figure out gaming that they've added. And there's so much inconsistency across the platform. They know that. They put in writing and asked their audience to hold them accountable for their actions. And we've seen no meaningful change since then, because they still will continuously, like during the Black Lives Matter, all the amazing protests and marches this summer, and there's still so much work that needs to be done. But they made like a montage to try and, again, for like virtue signaling, and they made a montage of all these streamers at protests. They were all white creators for like showcasing Black Lives Matter protests. Like, you really couldn't have found any like black streamers who were at these protests to make this. I highly doubt that. And so they retracted, like, oh, sorry, my bad. The DMCA thing, people are like, we need communication. They just go, okay, delete your things. And we find out that deleting our clips, deleting our VODs is not actually going to solve the problems. We can still get claimed. So if Twitch could fix one thing, it would be, let us hold you accountable. You've asked us to hold you accountable, so let us do it. And just be honest with us, because you still say a lot of words and do a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Right. Absolutely. This tweet it came in 2018, so just over 2.5 years now.
2.5 years ago, Jesus.
Yeah. Was in response to Twitch put out a blog, and there was a individual on Twitter who dissected every part of it and kind of made statement to why is this just a thing now, and this is something that should have been forever, and I can't believe that these common sense things just weren't put into practice earlier. And the response that Twitch had from that was, and I quote, please watch us closely and hold us accountable. The first update, which was before, clarifies our guidelines, but we know we'll be judged on how we enforce them. I'll look for more communication about our enforcement policies in the coming month. After which, it's been a
very
long
little
month.
has been done to match the
Well, we know how it's been for the
ethos of
past
that
2
tweet.
years. So
Yes, exactly.
oh man.
But no, this was a very good conversation. I truly appreciate being able to have this, especially with you, Laura. Laura,
thank you so much.
before we go, please do let the people know where they can find you.
Oh, thanks. It's pretty simple. I'm literally Laura K483 on every platform: Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I can't come up with usernames to save my life, so it's just that everywhere.
There you go. Easy SEO right there. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at KrispyKim Donut. Actually, I believe it's just KrispyKim on Twitter. That's with a K. And I want to give a couple quick shout outs. First to Laura, thank you so much for being here. But secondly, for repping OG. I can see you're repping our OG tech tee
it's
there.
very hard to tell because it's like the very invisible logo. But
Yeah,
it's there.
black on black. And second, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Toronto Ultra. Yeah, Toronto Ultra and Peace Collective. They sent me a bunch of cool stuff, and yeah, I just wanted to give them a quick shout out for that. And they also gave me a mug that I don't have with me. So,
any other shout outs?
Actually, I have one aside from just like I'm Laura K483 everywhere. I mentioned that community I'm a part of called Level Select. It's an open community to everyone. We have a website, levelselect.live. Highly recommend checking it out. We have a really great Discord with some really cool people, and basically any game you want to play, you will always find someone in that Discord who probably has time and wants to play it with you. So highly recommend if you're looking for cool people from around the world to hang out with, check out Level Select.
That's levelselect.live, everybody. And of course, for me, you can find me at StillJustMike, anywhere you find your people. You can find Best of 3 anywhere you find your podcasts, as well as on the Game Plus Network. Folks, we will see you in the next episode. Again, Laura, I want to thank you so much for being here. Fantastic talk about Twitch. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.